Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
On this week's show, we have a huge spooky Halloween news update. You're listening to episode 137 of the Theme Park Duo podcast.
Prepare yourselves for an unforgettable encounter.
Hi, and welcome to the Theme Park Duo podcast. Grab your park map, Chiro, and hop in line with us as we take you on a coast-to-coast adventure through the world of theme parks, haunts, conventions, and more. Now, here's your hosts, Nikki and Gabriel.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Theme Park Duo podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Gabe.
And we are
the Theme Park Duo. Welcome to another fantastic episode, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. We have a very fun Halloween-centric episode for everyone today. You know, between the time we had COVID and now, so much news has dropped in regards to some of our favorite Halloween events here in Southern California, so we really wanted to make sure that we spent the time to talk about these things and let you hear our 2 cents and what our thoughts on all the information regarding these cool things.
Yeah, because let's be honest, that's what you're here for. You already know the news. You're here to hear what we have to
It's
think
the
about
nonsense.
Yeah.
It's the nonsense factor, as it were.
Yeah.
So, but before we jump into that, we have a little bit of housekeeping to talk about here. First one up is if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star written review. It's a free way to support the show, and it makes us easier to enjoy by everybody because I messed up the words. It raises it up higher in the standings, and it makes it easier to find and enjoy us like everyone is right now. So definitely check that out, and also make sure to check out our TeePublic page. That link is in the episode descriptions. You can find fun Theme Park Duo t-shirts, masks, and other fun items. That's not the free way of supporting the show, but the free way is the reviews. Those are things you have to buy.
Yeah, but at least you get something cool out of it. There's a lot of fun designs in there. I'm actually thinking I need a refresher. I need a new one.
I think I need a new one as well. My Theme Park Duo Halloween shirt is kind of is definitely worn, so I need a new one.
Can you design me a new Halloween Theme Park Duo shirt?
I mean, I guess I could.
Giant pumpkin, please.
I kind of want this guy. So I'm looking at this very big smiley pumpkin dude in our house. It's a very happy pumpkin man.
Yeah.
I'll just do him on a shirt or something.
Okay. Stay tuned, everyone. Happy Pumpkin Man hitting our TeePublic site.
No promises, but I'll try my best.
No, it's going to happen because I want a new shirt.
I'll try my best. Anyway, moving on. Next piece of things we need to talk about here.
Okay, well, as I'm sitting here sipping my Topo Chico, I really wish that I had a expertly crafted drink in my hand that was delivered right to my door. Where can you get that? You can get that from DRNXMYTH. And it's been a while since we ordered, so I feel like we need to check out some of their new offerings.
It's in the cards. It really is in the cards, and I think we should set aside some time to order some of these fantastic drinks. Now, we know that people who listen to this show are no strangers to the occasional libation. So we think you guys should definitely check out DRNXMYTH, our favorite delivery system of alcohol.
Yeah.
So definitely check out DRNXMYTH. It's the sponsor of the show. You can find that link to the DRNXMYTH website in the show description. It literally just says buy drinks. You can find that, check it out. They're fantastic.
They are delicious, and they're all made by what's the term for a man who makes drinks, or a woman?
A bartender?
No, there's a special
a DRNXMYTH?
A DRNXMYTH, yes. They're all handcrafted by the experts.
What is the term? What is the term?
There is a mixologist.
Mixologist,
yes.
There you go, mixologist.
And each drink, I think, is really cool. It has, like, kind of a silhouette and description of the bartender who made the drink.
The mixologist who made the drink.
Mixologist.
Spent all this time trying to figure out the wording.
It's very personalized. It's really cool. And it's so nifty. Just what an idea. What a concept. It's so cool.
It's actually pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
So definitely check out the show sponsor, DRNXMYTH. Then also, if you guys listened to the last episode, it was all about our experiences at Midsummer Scream, the world's largest Halloween and horror convention here in Southern California, specifically Long Beach. And we actually have our companion piece up on the website, which is the article, so you can see all the different pictures that we took of all of our experiences and some other fun clips from that weekend. So head on over to themeparkduo.com to check that out. Then also, something fun coming up in the next couple of weeks. We are going to be doing some extra content here for Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights and Knott's Scary Farm, because we're going to be taking part in some behind the scenes experiences in seeing the construction phases for some of these new mazes coming online for both these experiences, as well as food and other things for Knott's Scary Farm. So stay tuned for all that cool stuff at themeparkduo.com. You'll definitely be seeing some fun articles there, so do not miss that. It's going to be awesome.
So excited.
Very, very excited. So let's jump into the news, Nikki, and let's jump into Haunting Headlines. So the first park we're going to be covering for our Halloween news roundup is going to be Universal Studios Hollywood for Halloween Horror Nights. So a very quick recap on all the houses that were announced previously before all these new houses were announced. The first one is The Weekend After Hours Nightmare. Takes guests into the twisted mind of multi-award winning artist The Weeknd as they step into a surreal living nightmare filled with grotesque characters and themes inspired by his music and short films.
Next, we have Halloween. Ventures back to where it all began in an eerily authentic haunted house that depicts the most chilling moments from the critically acclaimed original film.
And then we have The Horrors of Blumhouse brings to life Blumhouse's supernatural thriller, The Black Phone, and horror comedy, Freaky.
And then we have Universal Monsters, Legends Collide. Expands on the thrilling legacy from Universal Pictures as the most notorious horror icons, the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy come together for the first time ever in an epic battle.
Scarecrow the Reaping finds that Mother Nature's retribution against the homesteaders for their sins of the past will be carried out by the farmland scarecrows who have remained mute witnesses and are now guardians of destruction for anyone who crosses their paths. So these are all the returning mazes. Out of that handful of them, which ones are you most excited for? If you're gonna pick two out of the five, what two are you most excited about?
I am definitely excited for Universal Monsters and Scarecrow.
I would actually pretty much hands down agree.
Nice.
I'm pretty pumped about Universal Monsters just because of how consistently good each one of those versions of that maze has been from the very beginning. And the Scarecrow the Reaping, I think, is just simply because we went through it at HHN 27 in Orlando.
And it was so good.
And it was absolutely stellar. Now, that's not saying I'm not excited for the weekend. I'm actually very excited for the weekend.
I was so torn because I really wanted to put the weekend in my top two most excited also.
Well, it's because it's the one out of the five that is so drastically different.
It's like a wild card. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's 100% a wild card. And I think that it's going to be interesting how they execute it. You know, we talked to John Murdy at Midsummer Scream about how they're going to execute this thing and how they approached it, which I found very, very interesting, which if you haven't heard that interview, it's on our last episode for Midsummer Scream, so go definitely check that out. But, I think it's just a different kind of artist, a different kind of approach visually, artistically, so it's going to be an interesting way that they approach this maze. And house.
Oh,
it's going
yeah,
to be interesting
house.
Approach to this house.
They're all called houses now, people.
Which is
both coasts.
Which is really difficult because every other place in Southern California says mazes instead of houses. So
yeah, we usually fumble the other way and we call Halloween Horror Nights Orlando mazes. So now we have to get used to it. House across the board.
Son of a biscuit.
I thought you were gonna say son of a house.
Son of a house.
Shed.
I have a shed. I have so many questions that I want to ask, and I think that they are all inappropriate for this show. So I'm just going to move along on our process of talking about things. So the next thing for Halloween Horror Nights is the newly announced houses and experiences. MGM's The Shed. No, I'm just joking. There's no Shed House because that's confusing. Shed House. I don't know. I don't even know how that would work. You enter a house and there's a shed.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, but seriously, folks, MGM's Killer Clowns from Outer Space returns to Halloween Horror Nights, and it traps guests in a frightening funhouse of murderous clown-like creatures. This was one of my favorites of the year. I think it was 2019 that it debuted at Halloween Horror Nights, so happy to see it return.
And then one of my most anticipated returns is La Llorona, the Weeping Woman. Features the legend of La Llorona, who comes to life to terrorize the living as she mourns the children she murdered. And I believe this was around 2012, I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember the year,
Actually,
so I don't want to throw it out here.
I am very confident when I say 2012. Shout it out in, like, email or Twitter or something if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Oh, people will let you know.
Oh, they will. Be sure to
They'll
let me know when they let you know, because I don't check social media. So
okay, that sounds good. We'll do.
But I'm right, so it doesn't matter.
I'm very nervous about this one. And let me tell you why. So I hold the original La Llorona maze in such high regard that it coming back scares me, because I almost don't want it to be worse than the previous version, because I feel like that would taint my opinion.
If they literally just dust off their 2012 blueprints and do a carbon copy, I'd be happy. So just do that, Horror Nights.
I don't think they can, simply based on the fact that the locations were completely different. You know, the original location for the first La Llorona maze was behind basically the Shrek show.
Yeah.
So when you're actually entering the DreamWorks theater and you're about to go under like the actual little gate, when you go through the turnstiles, if you look to your left, there's like that little pathway.
Yeah.
It was literally right there. That was the entrance to the maze. The maze was maybe 10 feet past that little opening.
Yeah.
And then it would go that way. But now that's Wizarding World, so you don't have that location anymore. Because the footprint has changed, I'm assuming that the maze flow and design has changed as well.
Yeah.
Probably not in any way that's going to affect it greatly, but it's definitely going to be different.
Well, since I don't have, like, a drastic photographic memory for mazes like you do, I won't even be able to tell.
Left, right, boo, scare, ah!
I will be happy, I think, with whatever version of this they give us.
Probably. Next up, the one that I think is probably the most interesting, and the one that Murdy teased at Midsummer Scream, that's Universal Horror Hotel lives up to its reputation as the original owner, who was executed years ago for his dastardly deeds, continues to haunt the place today, and guests must escape his vengeful spirit or risk becoming a permanent resident.
Yeah, no, this one...
So it's a brand new original house.
This one is exciting. I liked all of the teases we got at Midsummer Scream, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. It's very, like, 1920s The Shining.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. I wouldn't be shocked if we see some reused sets from The Shining. Probably even American Horror Story.
Probably.
So I would keep your eyes out for maybe some Easter eggs from those two mazes from the past. But overall, excited that we're getting another original maze, original concept maze from Halloween Horror Nights here in Hollywood. Something that we don't see that often.
Yeah. And then returning to my horror because of my PTSD. Yes, dismay, that's the word. Award-winning hip-hop dance crew Jabberwockies brings an all-new high-energy show nightly to this year's event, featuring their gravity-defying dance moves, special effects, and pulse-pounding music.
They could Jabberwock right out the door and never come back.
Yeah. And also, I am never sitting front row again because they called me onto the stage to dance with them, and I don't dance.
It was pretty funny.
It was mortifying.
It was the best thing ever.
It was awful.
It was awesome. We have video. It's amazing. I have it somewhere. I'll pull it out and put it on all of social media forever.
Fine. Whatever.
So it lives on the internet in infamy forever. It'll never go away.
Kind of like the Jabberwockies.
Oh, yeah, kind of. Very good point there. Honestly, like, I don't have an issue with the Jabberwockies.
I think it's a cool show.
I think the performance in the show is cool. After the first year and second year, it's kind of grown a bit tired.
We're ready for something new.
Ready for something new. Ready for something that feels a bit more in the vein of Halloween. It's interesting because you have... You know, I'm going to talk about Not Scary Farm just as a comparison, for comparison's sake. But, you know, if you have to consider the Jabberwocky Show as their big show, like this is the big show that detracts guests from going into the other houses and experiencing other things during Halloween Horror Nights. And that's the same thing with Not Scary Farm and Puppet Up. While Puppet Up I don't think was ever supposed to be the main show, it was around, I don't think it was ever supposed to be the main show because I believe the hanging was happening the first year that it was there.
Yeah,
it has now become the main show. But, I feel like what works with Puppet Up is that you have something so drastically in the opposite direction of what Scary Farm is. The comedy aspect of it and the inappropriate humor, which very much falls in line with what the hanging used to be.
Yeah.
And I think that works very well. And I've said this before on the show, and I think I've said it in articles. It's the chocolate and peanut butter combination that works very, very well.
Yeah. Also, though, Puppet Up is ever changing just because the nature of it being like kind of like, whose line is it anyway? Audience suggestion based improv. So, you're never going to see the same show twice.
You're never going to see the shame.
There is shame. But you can't say that about Jabberwockies. It's the same every time.
The Jabberwocky Show changes year by year. If you have frequent fear and you're visiting multiple times, you're probably going to see it once because the show doesn't change.
Uh-huh.
So, and the issue that I have is that it's interesting, it's cool, the dance, and I get it. It's just very, very different than what Halloween at Halloween Horror Nights is. And I feel like you have to have a show that's either going to be completely drastically different, that works with horror, like comedy with Puppet Up, not necessarily Puppet Up itself, but something along those lines, or do something that's in the vein of horror.
Yeah.
That would work. In the past which they're never going to do again probably, would Slaughter World.
Yeah.
That falls in line with.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Falls in line with Halloween Horror Nights. So I don't know. I don't mind Jabberwockies. I think what they do is cool. It's just I'm ready for a new choice.
Yeah, and then Bill and Ted's was the comedy aspect. Completely different direction.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So and that's the thing is that worked great.
That worked awesome. So.
For some reason, the inappropriate humor stuff works really, really well with Halloween events. I think that's just because Halloween events tend to push the envelope in every sense of that kind of saying. And the same thing with that style of comedy. It pushes the envelope.
Yeah.
Makes people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Clearly uncomfortable enough to not have the show around anymore. But
unfortunately.
Yeah. But let's move on. Let's talk about the scare zones at Halloween Horror Nights. So the first one up is El Pueblo del Terror. Is an extension of the La Llorona, the Weeping Woman. As the horror continues, once guests exit the haunted house and discover there is no escaping the frightening legend, along with other supernatural characters from Latin America's most frightening myths. Now that's cool, and I like that. I like that Halloween Horror Nights here in Hollywood specifically utilizes a lot of that style of horror, delving into Latin American folklore and things like that. Just because there's a big population of Hispanic people in LA.
Yeah.
That's a thing. So tapping into that that creativity I think is really interesting, and especially me because I'm Hispanic. I think that's really cool.
And as much as I don't prefer a scare zone that can only be accessed via a maze or a house, because I feel like that's really restrictive for people who've already gone through the house who just want to go back to the scare zone, which is us a lot of the times. I am excited for this one, and I think it's going to be super cool. And I like how it kind of seems like it's going to be just like an extension of the town, Yeah. And so I am excited for it. And as much as I say I don't like those types, I loved it when it was Holidays in Hell. And it was New Year's outside. I love that, So I love what they do. I just wish I could get to it after I go through the maze.
well, you actually didn't go to Halloween Horror Nights last year. I went with my sister because we had a whole episode of a first timer's perspective on Halloween Horror Nights. So if you never listened to that review, go listen to it because you get a first timer's perspective, and it's actually genuinely fascinating hearing somebody's take on the event after we've been so many years and we're completely jaded. But last year, you were able to access that scare zone without having to go through the house.
Oh, sweet.
So that scare zone
they do that again.
That led out of Bride, you could walk through it because people were either going through New York, coming around from Minions and coming back through, or going up to Minions and coming back on the other side. So you could do that.
Okay.
So it
I
was
hope
fine.
it's the same.
I'm sure it's the same. I'm sure.
Okay.
So
Well,
they definitely listen.
The years where it wasn't accessible, was that because of construction?
No.
Oh.
There was no construction going
Okay.
on that necessitated
Blocking it up.
blocking it off.
Okay. It was a choice. Well, I'm glad they changed their mind because I personally like it better this way.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So next up.
Oh, it's my
Yeah,
turn.
it's your turn.
Sideshow Slaughterhouse. That could be a tongue twister if you let it. Turns New York Street into a battle zone as the performers and workers from a seedy carnival sideshow are on a murderous rampage.
So
Wow.
they have all the props out for this kind of stuff so far, and it was interesting because they had everything out and then they removed some stuff or changed some things.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if it's because they were kind of getting ahead of people complaining. Like they had a two-headed woman, so like a head coming off this way and that way. And originally said Siamese twin, and then they changed it to like Amazon girl or something.
100%. Why would they think that's okay? That is not an okay term anymore. It hasn't been for years.
And then there was a legless woman.
Okay.
So she was just like the torso up.
Okay.
Which is like part of like that was a thing part of freak shows a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so they got rid of that, and then got rid of the sign, and then now it's just the bearded lady, and then they just got rid of it. So now there's 2 characters instead of 3.
Okay. I guess. Okay. I see where that could also be problematic because there are people who are born that way.
Yeah.
So I see why they made those changes.
Yeah, it's probably smart just to kind of get ahead of the people who are inevitably going to say something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
I mean,
those are just the things that I've noticed.
I feel like the sideshow, like, concept in general is like wrought with like troublesome things, so you really have to tread carefully. So
Totally. And I think the thing is that if you were going to choose to do a sideshow style scare zone, you have to push it to the extremes so that the typical situations of people who would have found themselves in sideshows aren't offended by it.
Yeah.
You know, really push it to the extremes so you just avoid all of it and you just end up in nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean,
alligator boy.
Yeah,
You
no,
know
there
what I
are
mean?
things
Like-
you can do, like a super tattooed person, or a strong man, or a bearded lady, things like that. Things that wouldn't necessarily offend anybody.
Like, imagine a strong man, but like his muscles are like ripping open because he like tried to lift something too
He
heavy.
went too far.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, that's gross. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, next, and this is the entry scare zone. Clown saws. So we finally we have our Z. We have our Z in the name. Finally.
Okay.
Clown Saw features a demonic troupe of clowns who band together to terrorize guests with chainsaws as they enter the park. Now, this just sounds like a flat-out fun scare zone.
Honestly, I'm excited.
In the vein of Halloween Horror Nights, and at Halloween Horror Nights here in Hollywood, we've had a lot of clown stuff, and I think in some of the first years that I remember going, even in college, they had some pretty great clown scare zones, entry scare zones, in fact, that I absolutely love. So that definitely reminds me of that, and I'm pretty pumped about it.
It's perfect. It's simple. It's exactly what it needs to be.
And the next thing up is probably the thing that Nikki's probably the most
It's my
excited
turn.
about.
We're
Yes.
trading off, and this is something I'm super excited about.
Told you.
So please
Told you.
let me
Told
read
you.
it.
Oh, I'm gonna read it. You better read it. Hurry.
Don't
read
you
it,
dare.
Read it before I read it.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter will also be open during Halloween Horror Nights, which is exciting enough on its own, inviting guests to experience some of their favorite attractions, including Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey and Flight of the Hippogriff. But for the first time ever, Death Eaters, a group of Voldemort's most devoted followers, will roam Hogsmeade Village looking to find others willing to show loyalty to the Dark Lord's cause. If you have listened to this show ever in all the years we've been doing it, you know how long I have been begging for this to happen, and I am so excited. I could cry.
Nikki basically cried when I told her the news when I saw it in my email.
Yes.
So
Yes.
and I'm absolutely pumped too. I think this is an absolute perfect fit for Halloween Horror Nights. I'm shocked that it's taken this long. I'm sure it's J.K. Rowling who's like, meh.
Yeah, 100% was her.
Offensive things.
was
I don't want that to happen.
It was 100% she who will not be named. named.
Yeah, the Dark Lord.
The Dark Lordess.
The Lordess. But yeah, no, I'm super pumped about this. And what's most interesting is that John Murdy on Twitter said that there was going to be a projection show on the castle.
Nice.
But we also don't know what that's going to be. It would make sense that it would be the Dark Arts show, the one that has the absolutely
so happy with that.
phenomenal drones like section in it.
Yeah.
We shall wait to see if that's what's going to happen, if it's an abbreviated version of that, or if it's just something completely new. Nothing's been officially announced. So, waiting to hear word on that, or it might just get scrapped. Who knows?
I also kind of... Hear me out. I wouldn't be mad if they didn't have a show, because you know how much of a cluster F Hogsmeade gets
On the show nights.
Yeah,
it gets pretty bonkers.
And you wouldn't even be able to enjoy the Death Eaters in Hogsmeade if all it is people just filing in and out for shows. So, like, unless they...
I don't disagree.
Unless they space them out, or
Throughout
maybe
the night.
or maybe just have them in the early part of the night and then don't have them anymore. Like, unless they do something, it's just going to be a cluster F.
Well, what if it's not like a legit show as much as it is
just projections on the castle?
The entire night.
That I would
like
be fine with that.
some sound design elements, but not a legit show where you have to stop and watch a 15-minute projection show. Just, occasionally the spider like crawls across and then it changes to, it's all burnt down and then it changes to Death Eaters flying around it, all that stuff.
I would be totally fine with that because that's a very passive experience and not something that people have to wait for, because literally that's all that Hogsmeade turns into when there's shows. It's just a revolving door of people waiting for shows.
Yeah, it can
and
get pretty overwhelming.
You can't even walk around and enjoy yourself. So I feel like they kind of have to choose either Death Eaters or projection show if they're doing a legit projection show. So we'll see.
Now that we've actually talked about it, it makes more sense that they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, right?
And that they would just have projections up there with a sound design element that's kind of layered in over that experience.
Yeah.
One, that makes sense just because of crowd flow issues. Universal knows that it's a funnel of people going in and out of that place when we do have shows. But Universal also knows how to create environments. So I think that would add to the environment of Death Eaters roaming around when you have the castle looking in a very creepy way with a cool sound design. One thing I'm a little worried about is just people inundating that area, because the area it's large, but it's not huge to the point where it can accommodate so many people.
Yeah.
And I feel like the draw of Death Eaters is going to have so many people in there that it's going to be hard to enjoy them.
Yeah.
That's a concern, but I mean, we're going to have to see how that works out. Who knows? Maybe they're going to have a system where you can't go in if it gets too full,
Maybe. I wouldn't be mad at that because then at least you would get to enjoy it, the way it is supposed to be enjoyed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that brings us to the end of our Halloween Horror Nights discussion for Hollywood. And let's jump all the way to Florida and talk about Halloween Horror Nights Orlando. And let's talk about the 6 new original houses that they had just announced. Enter an unsettling 1920s speakeasy only to discover that they are the main ingredients of witch's brew in Spirits of the Coven.
And then face a putrid, skin-crawling infestation of spiders, roaches, flies, and bees, and more in Bugs, eaten alive.
Escape or become prey to a no longer mythical fanged creature in Fiesta de Chupacabras.
So glad you read that one. I have trouble with that word.
Chupacabras?
That, yeah.
Next, I'm so scared of them chupacabras.
Next, attempt to survive visiting hours for horrifying monsters serving time in Hellblock Horror.
Endure a petrifying winter thunderstorm in a seaside village ruled by an undead fisherman in Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake.
And then encounter bloodthirsty mutants living in a post-apocalyptic subway system in Descendants of Destruction.
These original experiences complete the lineup of 10 terrifying haunted houses coming to Halloween Horror Nights 2022, which also includes The Weekend After Hours Nightmare, Halloween, Universal Monsters Legends Collide, and The Horrors of Blumhouse. So all of those mazes are ones that we're going to be having here in Hollywood. So But out of these 6 original houses, Nikki, what are the 2 that you're most pumped about?
Did we say Horrors of Blumhouse for Hollywood?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, I don't even remember.
Freaky and Black Phone.
Yes, those are the 2. I literally don't remember them on the list.
That's fine. It was there.
Okay, well, if we didn't say them, the Horrors of Blumhouse is also going to be in Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood.
It's the 3rd one on the list. I read it.
You read? Oh, that's
It's
why
short.
that's why I don't remember it, because you read it.
I like how you just tune out when I'm talking. That's fantastic. It makes me feel so good.
Only like 70% of the time.
It makes me feel great.
Okay, well, going back to your original question, in Halloween Horror Nights Orlando, of the new mazes, houses.
Well, the original
houses, I am probably most excited for, and I don't know why, it just strikes my fancy in some way, Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake.
I said 2. What's the other one?
The other one is, I have a visceral reaction. I am absolutely horrified of the bugs eaten alive. So I'm going to have to say that one. Even though I know I'm going to like other ones more, if I'm going on just a basis of what I think is going to creep me out the most, it's probably going to be that one.
Sorry, can you say that again? I actually wasn't really listening to you at all.
Oh, that's fine. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the audience.
Oh, okay, good.
Hi, audience.
Good. I actually did hear you because I can't really avoid you. You're sitting 3 feet from me, unfortunately.
Oh, I know. I just chose not to engage with your joke. So
I could tell, and that just pretty much puts the kibosh on everything I was trying to do. Thanks a lot. For me, I would actually say the exact same thing. Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake is something that it definitely catches my fancy. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I know that I've seen pictures of the Scare Zone that sounds very similar to this, and I like that aesthetic, what they accomplished in that Scare Zone, so I'm pretty pumped about that one. And then in terms of the second one, it's kind of a tie between Descendants of Destruction and Spirits of Coven, just because I think the idea of witches, and it seems like the 1920s speakeasy approach to it sounds very unique and different.
Guess what?
What?
I just got the pun in the name.
Spirits of the Coven?
Spirits, because it's a speakeasy.
I'm glad you got that.
Spirits of the Cousin. Do you get it, guys?
Of the Cousin? Spirits of the Cousin.
Shoot.
a different
I've had
house.
some spirits.
It's a different house.
Okay, well, I appreciate the pun. Is that a pun? Or a wordplay?
It's a pun.
Pun?
It's a pun.
Well,
and then Descendants of Destruction is the other one that I'm interested in, just because I like post-apocalyptic stuff, but I'm interested in the way that it's going to be executed, because it could either go one way or the other.
I like post-apocalyptic stuff in books and movies. I haven't had much luck with it across the board at Halloween events.
I think the only other post-apocalyptic maze or house that I could even think of is Warriors of the Apocalypse.
In Knott's?
At Knott's. Did we go through that together?
We did.
I liked that one. I thought that was fun. I liked the metal music and stuff. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite. No, there was another one.
Post-apocalyptic?
Yeah.
I can't think of a single other post-apocalyptic maze that we've gone through.
Send us an email, people, if you remember post-apocalyptic maze. But anyway, I'm just hesitantly curious about that one. We'll see.
Yeah, Bugs Eaten Alive, I'm very excited to go through with you, because you flip out at bugs in real life. So, to give listeners an idea, Nikki is absolutely 100% terrified of moths. She hates them with every ounce of her being.
I'm going to cry in this maze, aren't I?
If there's a moth monster, she's going to literally cry and just go into a ball on the floor. If it's on the wall, she'll have a hard time walking by a moth. There was one time when she called me because there was a moth in her kitchen before we moved in together, and she had a broom in her hand and she was trying to hit it, and she took a video after we had hung up of her trying to hit it, and she missed it, and it flew around her kitchen, and she just ran around screaming with a broom in her hand. So I'm pretty pumped. Oh, let's mention also the fact that you're terrified of grasshoppers. Not grasshoppers. Crickets. So we call them Jiminy's because Jiminy Cricket. And Nikki's like, Gabe, come help me. There's a Jiminy. It's a big Jiminy.
That just happened yesterday, folks.
grab it with my hand and chuck it outside or scooch it outside or do something. And more often than not, I'm a terrible human being and I walk up to Nikki and I put my hand close to her face and she freaks out or gets real mad.
That's where this all stems from, people, okay?
It's spousal abuse.
No, it's not even spousal abuse. It is like across the board, the betrayal of people who I'm supposed to be able to trust, because my grandmother, my sweet Irish Nana, would do the same thing to me for as long as I can remember. She would catch a bug and she would be walking it outside, and then she would be walking past me as I hold the door open for her or something, and she would shove it in my face, like, look at it, it's fine. And then Gabe does the same thing to me, and it's just
they're cute.
Traumatized.
They're so cute.
Oh God, I don't think. Okay.
You admitted that he was cute when I had him in my hand yesterday.
He was cute and very secure in your hand. I'll look at a spider under a glass for hours like that. As long as I know it cannot harm me, I'm fine. But this maze, I feel like, is going to get to me on a level that I am not prepared for yet.
And I think I'm pretty pumped for that.
So we'll see what happens. I'm getting very emotional right now just thinking about going through it, and it's like a month away. So.
Yeah, Nikki actually has tears welling up in her eyes, so I can't tell you how excited I am to go through this one.
Every time this maze has been brought up, I've had a reaction to it, like in my body.
You and many
mind.
people, like bugs is a thing
I
for
know.
people.
And so we'll see. Stay tuned for my reaction to this house.
Yes. So moving on, we have the Scare Zone. There's nowhere to hide in the streets of Universal Studios Florida as hordes of menacing creatures from Halloween's past infiltrate 5 all-new scare zones where guests will encounter the Pumpkin Lord and all his devious subjects in Horrors of Halloween.
Then they'll reap the wrath of scarecrows who will stop at nothing to harvest their souls in Scarecrow Cursed Soil.
Experience a terrifying 1950s Halloween parade gone wrong alongside bloodthirsty trick-or-treaters in Sweet Revenge.
Venture through an ominous Halloween thunderstorm within a ghastly cemetery in Graveyard Deadly Unrest.
Escape an evil sorceress bringing forth an army of ravenous monstrosities in Conjure the Dark. So those are all pretty cool. I think that because it's talking about menacing creatures from Halloween's past, I don't know if that's kind of Halloween's past in the sense that everything is relatively associated with Halloween, or that it's something from Halloween Horror Nights past.
I think it might be that one. Well, because, Scarecrow Cursed Soil.
Also, Pumpkin Lord was in one of the mazes from last year. Graveyard might be Graveyard Games or whatever it was called.
Yeah, so I definitely think that's the vibe.
I just don't know about Sweet Revenge or Conjure the Dark. Sweet Revenge might be something completely that I don't know about.
Yeah.
Or kind of be tied into Trick or Treat.
Maybe, but that was also a scare zone. Yeah, we'll see. It
doesn't need to be a house. It's just Halloween's past.
That's true.
So
we'll see.
Yeah.
Other people who are more familiar with Halloween Horror Night Orlando's past
probably know.
Let us know if we're missing any references here.
Yeah. The next are 2 live shows. When guests need a break from the scares, they can enjoy 2 brand new, outrageously entertaining shows. Halloween Nightmare Fuel Wildfire, the sequel to last year's fan favorite Halloween Nightmare Fuel show, features the world-famous performance group The Fuel Girls, highlighting a new dreamer in the depths of a new nightmare set to a heart-pounding metal, rock, and electronica score. That was hard to read.
Yeah, it sounded hard to read. I'm glad you read it.
Yes.
Okay, and then the second show is Ghoulish, A Halloween Tale, an all-new show taking place in the Universal Studios Lagoon that follows the Grim Reaper on the undertaking of what happens beyond the grave, all set to eerily remixed music by some of today's most iconic artists.
I'm all about Ghoulish.
Uh-huh.
I could leave Halloween Nightmare Fuel Wildfire behind. Like, I don't care.
Yeah,
It's another dance troupe.
Yeah.
It's another dance troupe.
Yeah, I'm definitely more down for Ghoulish. That sounds more like our vibe.
It definitely sounds more like our vibe. So, yeah, probably spending our time for that. Then next up, the Halloween Horror Nights Tribute Store, which we've never experienced a tribute store yet, so I'm pretty pumped about being able to go into this. For the first time ever, the scares taking root in the streets of Universal Studios Florida will bleed into the theme of the Halloween Horror Nights Tribute Store with a collection of increasingly detailed environments inspired by the iconic Halloween haunts featured throughout the event. Guests will shop the latest Halloween Horror Nights merchandise and treats as they venture through a pumpkin patch, cemetery, and witch's cottage, eventually making their way to the final room, an elaborate Halloween festival set in the same town as the store's neighboring scare zone, Sweet Revenge. So, the tribute store, in the way that it was set up previously, before Halloween, because there was a tribute store there, it had this table, and on the table, it slowly started to accumulate items that were pointing towards something for Halloween Horror Nights. And it was like a newsreel or papers from newspaper, like little notes here and there. And everybody was trying to figure out what clues it was pointing towards for Halloween Horror Nights. And I think that the major backstory behind it is that the same person who is running the festival, Halloween festival in that Trick or Treat scare zone.
Yeah.
Or not Trick or Treat scare zone, but
Like
Sweet Revenge scare zone.
Yeah.
Is the same guy who purchased that theater. So the tribute store theater, it's supposed to be a theater. He purchased that.
Okay.
So that's how those things are connected.
Okay, cool.
Then next up,
Okay, and next is a limited time Halloween experiences at Universal's Orlando's Hotel. I said that real backwards.
yes,
Sides.
you did.
Sorry, you get what I'm trying to say. Guests can maximize the fear by staying near the screams at one of Universal Orlando hotels, where they can enjoy exclusive benefits like access to a dedicated entry gate for the event with valid event admission and complimentary transportation to the theme parks and Universal City Walk. Hotel guests also get exclusive access to limited time Halloween Horror Nights experiences taking place at select Universal hotels, including Universal Monsters Gallery of Legends at Universal's Cabana Bay Beach Resort, featuring a trio of Universal's classic monsters that guests will face at the event: the Mummy, the Wolfman, and Dracula. Guests can take advantage of scary good rates on hotels and vacation packages to enjoy Halloween Horror Nights and the limited time Halloween experiences at Universal hotels.
So you skipped an entire sentence.
What?
So you skipped an entire sentence. So the Universal Monsters Gallery of Legends at the Universal's Cabana Bay Beach Resort, it's an immersive photo opportunities that are inspired by the terrifying trio of Universal Classic Monsters. So it's a whole bunch of photo ops. That's what that experience is. So good job, Nikki. Not like you've done this before.
But to be fair, featuring a trio of Universal's classic monsters works just fine.
Oh, it totally does, but it also leaves out exactly what it is.
Oh, okay, so it's a photo op of
With
the trio
those
of
monsters.
monsters.
Yes.
There you go.
And I'm kind of interested because we're staying on property, so does that mean
Yes.
we're getting some of these little benefits here and there? So I'm interested.
I think so. What hotel do you think has
The
entry gate?
I don't know. I feel like that would be Hard Rock because Hard Rock's like right there.
Oh yeah, I always forget about Hard Rock.
I mean, there's Hard Rock and there's a few other hotels.
And
but
Sapphire, we're staying at Sapphire Falls.
We are staying in Sapphire
And
Falls.
that, I'm sure, is like the transportation because they have the water taxi, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably it because the only other thing is buses.
Buses.
So,
Yeah.
interesting. Moving on. Next park we're going to be talking about is our favorite, Not Scary Farm.
Woohoo!
So let's review some of the returning mazes, scare zones, and entertainment for the event. First up is Mesmer, Sideshow of the Mind. Within the canvas tent lies the secret of the most potent force in the universe, the human mind. Give in and succumb to the hypnotist Mesmer and his sinister sideshow as it preys on your hidden fears. Release your inner thoughts and descend into a world of madness, torture, and eerie enlightenment. There you will uncover the grotesque secrets hidden as you brave through the most terrifying show ever created.
And then we have the depths. A heavy fog drapes over an abandoned port village where ancient creatures lurk inside the pitch-black underground caves hidden below the seaside shores. The Night Watch mining crew has mysteriously disappeared, and village rumors point to the eerie tunnels the town sits upon. But be warned, all who have entered have never resurfaced. Myths of the terrifying horrors that lurk within the cave have often been whispered, but never confirmed. Did the crew meet their demise at the hand of vicious creatures that live within the cave? Journey into the ominous caverns to discover if the superstitions revolving around the caves are true or not.
Waxworks. Mysterious lights and strange noises have begun to emanate from the eerie abandoned wax museum. It's rumored that blood-curdling screams can be heard echoing through the halls of Waxworks as victims are horrifyingly submerged into a scorching hot cauldron of bubbling wax. The once prominent plastic surgeon Dr. Augustus Scratch has been seen tinkering at night and is now ready to show off his beautiful yet terrifying lifelike masterpieces of hot molten wax and bloody flesh. Take a closer look at his gruesome works of art and try to escape his deadly grip or become the newest masterpiece to add to his collection.
Dark entities. Teleport beyond Earth into a realm where the darkness is absolute. In the depths of space, a lone station faces terror beyond all imagination. An extraterrestrial mutation has invaded the station, and it's on the prowl for new hosts. The unearthly inhabitants' force increases as it feeds on unwilling victims. Escape the dark entities before their deadly force eliminates all living forms aboard the station. There's nowhere to escape when time is running out.
Pumpkin Eater. Survive the wrath of the murderous 7-foot-tall creature that haunts the old woods surrounding the hollow in the Pumpkin Eater maze. The notorious creature is on the prowl, hidden within the dark confines of the haunted town he once terrorized. To escape the sinister Pumpkin Eater's wrath, all who enter must go on a quest through the silent town of victims, face a cave of crawling insects, and solve the labyrinth of thorns that blocks the way out.
And then we have Dark Ride. Journey through an abandoned carnival ride where cruel carny folks still linger in the shadows in the Dark Ride. Castle of Chaos. The carnival has become a refuge for freaks and carnies. Now those shunned performers have created a dark world of terror, which they plan to unleash on those who enter. Dark Ride will lead brave visitors through a treacherous path and into the bowels of a long-neglected attraction as sinister shadows and horrifying scenes cast the gloom over the once pleasant ride. It's everyone's worst nightmare, being helplessly trapped inside an abandoned carnival ride without a way out.
And then, my personal favorite, Origins, the Curse of Calico. Pierce the veil of time and discover the secret of the evil fog that hangs over Knott's scary farm in Origins, the Curse of Calico. Unearth the sinister paranormal activity that plagues the town as Sarah Marshall is put on trial to her suspected crimes of witchcraft. All will be unveiled when the Green Witch rises and curses the town folks, transforming all those who have accused her into a wicked horde of malicious creatures with an eternal quench for the living.
And then we have the scare zones. First, we have Forsaken Lake. The lake underneath Silver Bullet recedes to reveal the Forsaken Lake scare zone, where gothic creatures ravaged by the dark and murky waters wander from their crypts, preying on unsuspecting visitors, looking for victims to drag back to their watery graves.
And this one's short and sweet. Carnival. On the boardwalk, deviant clowns crave your undying attention. That's it.
And then we have the Goring 20s. Step back into the dark decadence of a bygone era as the newest scare zone. The Goring 20s terrorizes even the bravest and most brutal souls. Here, gangsters run illicit hooch for the ghostly revelers as the otherworldly musicians play the music of the damned. Tell the bouncer the secret password and you'll have the time of your life, for as long as it lasts.
Spoiler alert, there's no password.
But yeah, it's all a ruse.
It's all a ruse. Then we have Ghost Town, the original and largest, most terrifying scare zone that started it all. And literally started it all is exactly what it means. It started off the Halloween events everywhere. Bands of half-human, half-animal monsters prowl the streets and inhabit the fog, and beware the notoriously stunning sliders who lunge from fog-filled corners of the land. And then next up we have the entertainment offerings that you can find at Knott's Scary Farm.
So first we have Carnival du Grotesque. Grab a seat as the show is about to begin. Your mind will melt as the sights and sounds of the Carnival du Grotesque live bands provide the soundtrack for the creepiest company of performers to ever disgrace the stage.
Then we have Conjurers Dark Magic. You won't believe your eyes when our skilled illusionists take the stage in the heart of Calico. Get there early, as seats have been known to vanish. So that's going to be that's in Birdcage.
Okay. And then the favorite, we have Puppet Up Uncensored, returning nightly to Not Scary Farm for the 2021 season. Puppet Up.
Or 2022 season.
Oh, you got last year's stuff. That's why the Goring 20s said the newest Scare Zone. It is not. It was there last year.
Well, it is the newest Scare Zone still.
Out of those that have been there before.
Which is all of them.
That's true. Oh, okay, technicality. Okay. Let me just start that over. Puppet Up Uncensored, returning nightly to Not Scary Farm for the 2022 season. Puppet Up Uncensored is an outrageous, off-the-cuff show featuring a combination of improvisational comedy and the magic of puppetry, performed by a cast of world-class comedian puppeteers from the Jim Henson Company. Created by legendary puppeteer and award-winning director Brian Henson and directed by Patrick Bristow, who did Ellen, Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Whose line is it anyway?
He didn't do them. He was in them.
He was in them. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Puppet Up Uncensored is no ordinary puppet show. The content is driven by audience suggestions and participation in proper uncensored form, topped with the zany antics and naughty shenanigans of the colorful and brazen puppet cast. Puppet Up Uncensored will be performed 3 times each night at Not Scary Farm and is intended for mature audiences.
And when we say mature audiences, it is mature
it.
Audiences.
Yes.
So the next one up, and probably something I'm very excited about because it is something very personal to me, Into the Fog, a Scary Farm tribute art show. The Into the Fog art show will be host to multiple incredible art pieces celebrating the scary season, an experience that will bring a thrill and chill to any Scary Farm fan. Now, do you remember in the episode where I mentioned something to Nikki and I bleeped it all out? It was because it was this. I am taking part in this year's Into the Fog art show. So I have a piece, and I am very honored to be involved. I think I've said many a times that just the idea of playing a very minuscule part in Not Scary Farm brings me so much joy. So I know plenty of artists who have already submitted their absolutely stunning, incredible artwork. So make sure you definitely check this out. And to give you guys an idea of what I'm doing, I'm falling in line with what I've been doing every single year. So if you guys have followed along, I've created tarot cards. So the first year was Death. I did Death from Ghost Town Streets on the tarot card. Then I did The Bride from Ghost Town Streets on a tarot card. This year, we're coming at it from a little bit of a different direction, but we're also doing a tarot card again, and it is Billy and Lucy from Ghost Town Streets on a tarot card. So I'm very excited to have a piece here again. My prints are only $6. They're absolutely beautiful, and the stack of cards that you'll find in the shop will have some holographic ones mixed in. So those ones are the special ones. They're the chase versions of my tarot cards. So when you go, see if you can find a hollow one. You might be lucky, because there's not many out there. So very, very excited about that.
Yes, as am I. I didn't know how to follow that.
Next up, we have another entertainment offering.
I felt like I should say something about it. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for doing.
Thank you very much
for doing the art show for so many years, and like them eagerly asking you back. And I just think it's a really cool thing that you're doing.
And you also help me.
I do. I give my critiques and my what is it? What's the word?
2 cents.
Yeah, opinions. I have opinions. Yeah, and then
a lot of them.
And sometimes you take my advice.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Timber Mountain Log Ride Halloween Hootenanny. The Timber Mountain Log Ride residents celebrate the Halloween Hootenanny, which adds a seasonal twist to a park favorite. Mysterious creatures of Timber Mountain that live out in the woods and caverns join the citizens as they honor the season at the Halloween Hootenanny. The ride's interior features surprises as guests venture past the Calico Coffin Creeper Band. the town's Green Witch, and a splash down Skull Mountain into a labyrinth of jack-o'-lanterns, all set to an original soundtrack by Crazy Kirk and the Hillbillies.
So I love the Halloween Hootenanny because it just feels like quintessential Halloween.
It really does.
In a big event that celebrates many facets of Halloween. So I really like this. And it's not scary, which is fine. I just like that it's just pure unadulterated Halloween, like fall feelings.
And the music is great.
Oh yeah, I love that Crazy Kirk and the Hillbillies have an original song for it. It's absolutely an earworm. So when you go, be prepared to be humming it.
Yep.
All night long. And then in terms of the stuff that's coming back, obviously I'm very excited for Ghost Town. Very excited for Goring 20s because it was so unique and different. And the Mazes, Origins Curse of Calico, obviously. And then I'm always pumped to go through Mesmer because Mesmer last year was so cool.
I'd have to agree with you. I mean, those are all the things that I'm most excited for too. I mean, I always love Carnival also. That's one that I just love sitting in and seeing what those crazy clowns get up to. You know, so I'm just generally excited for everything that's coming back.
Yeah. Then the stuff that you want to hear, the all new for Scary Farm 2022. The first one up is Bloodline 1842. Blood and Blessings. In the all-new Knott Scary Farm Maze Bloodline 1842, you'll be armed with the latest Bellatorian weaponry. Heed the call to action as you embark on a perilous journey with the immortal Daybreakers as you travel through the busy city streets of Valdonia while hunting the bloodthirsty Valhemphrey in an all-out war. Bring light into the darkness and survive the vicious onslaught of vampires and bring honor to your order.
Man, am I glad you had to read that one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've read that multiple times, just not in preparation for this, just by reading it out loud from reading it in the press release.
Yeah.
And I've stumbled every single time.
Valhemphrey.
Next up.
Next, we have the Grimoire. Turn the page and enter the world of an ancient relic whose dark stories exist purely to turn your greatest nightmares into a reality. Enter the world of a mysterious spellbook and escape the demonic creatures inside or be eternally trapped within.
And then we have Beyond the Fog, a behind-the-scenes tour of Knott Scary Farm. Behind the scenes of Knott Scary Farm, an army of talented builders and creators work hard to make California's original and most haunting Halloween event a success. For the first time, you can pull back the veil for a lights-on, frights-off tour. Join us for a 3-hour behind-the-scenes look at Knott Scary Farm, where you'll learn the history of Scary Farm and take part in a walking tour of multiple Knott Scary Farm mazes with the lights on. Grab your walking shoes for a one-of-a-kind opportunity to go beyond the fog. Now, in terms of the two new mazes, I am way more pumped for the Grimoire than I am for Bloodline 1842. And I think that's just because, one, you don't get it in the description here, but if you watch the trailer on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter, wherever it's posted, it is clearly an 80s vibe. As well as it's the same name of the book that was in the show from last year. So it seems to me that this is like either a direct sequel or it's, associated with the show from last year. So if that is any indication of how this is going to go, I am hands down pumped for this because I absolutely love the 80s vibe from last year's show. If that transfers over, it's going to be a lot of fun. The only thing that I don't like about the description is saying like your greatest nightmares into a reality. It's kind of what Mesmer was. Yeah. Mesmer says that. So kind of wish that it was worded a bit differently. But other than that, that's kind of being nitpicky. I'm just very excited. Yeah,
no, I'm excited for the Grimoire too. I feel like at this point, I don't really know what to expect except like from the trailer, but how they're actually going to turn that into a maze, like we'll see, so I am excited. I'm hesitantly excited for it. I'm always excited for a good vampire anything, so I'm cool with Bloodline, so we'll see what that's like. It seems to be like a different kind of like a what was the movie, the vampires fighting werewolves movie with the actress?
Oh, Underworld.
Yeah, it's got an Underworld vibe, so we'll see. I like Underworld, so we'll see what that turns into.
You mean the vampires and lichens?
Lichens.
To be specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has that vibe. It also kind of feels post-apocalyptic. And it also feels kind of steampunky just because of the way that the logo looks.
It does feel very steampunky.
So we'll see how it turns out. But also talking about Beyond the Fog, it's cool to see a behind-the-scenes tour actually being done. Like, because I feel like this is a long time coming. Like, it's a no-brainer. Why not?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited to. I don't know if we're gonna do that this year, but
No, because I mean, like with kind of the way that media stuff works, we tend to have a little bit of extra access than typical people were. So we kind of have the ability to do those things anyway. So, and I'm not trying to be like, look at me. It's just the nature of what we're doing here.
Yeah, but I do
how we're
think
covering the
I
event.
do think it's a nice thing that they're offering.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I want to do it.
But yeah,
I might do it. I might do it just because I'm a Scary Farm nerd. But other than that, a big piece of news that we need to talk about, and something that's going to affect guests' experiences at Not Scary Farm, is the chaperone policy and bag policy. So, a chaperone policy is being implemented for all Not Scary Farm event nights. Under the policy, all general park guests ages 17 years old or younger must be accompanied by a chaperone who is at least 21 years old to be admitted to the park. The chaperone must present a valid photo ID with a date of birth. One chaperone may accompany no more than 4 guests ages 17 or younger per day. Chaperones must accompany their party during entry, remain inside the park during their visit, and be available by phone throughout their stay. Guests ages 17 years or younger who are found inside the park unaccompanied by a chaperone will be subject to ejection. In addition, a bag policy will be implemented for Not Scary Farm. Guests will not be permitted to bring bags larger than 6.5 inches by 4.5 inches by 2 inches into the park, including purses, backpacks, or diaper bags during Not Scary Farm operation. All bags will be searched prior to entry. So first off, who the F is bringing babies who need diaper bags? That's terrible. But chaperone policy, I'm happy about.
I'm happy about
that is a good
too.
thing.
This wording is slightly different than the chaperone policy they have for the day.
Well, because that one is a bit different because I think they heard people's issues with it, because I think for the daytime regular park one, you could have up to... Actually, it was 4. That was 4. What's different then?
The difference is this one says chaperones must accompany their party during entry and remain inside the park during their visit. And the daytime one specifically says you have to stay... The chaperone has to stay with the younger person. But
maybe it's just an oversight because it says that guests ages 17 years old or younger who are found in the park unaccompanied will be subject to ejection.
Yeah, it's a little murky. I don't know why they changed the wording, but the way it's worded, it makes it seem like as long as the chaperones are inside the park, the 17 or younger year olds can go off by themselves, which I don't think is what they meant to say, but that's the way it sounds.
It might come out. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I mean, maybe it's just like a legal thing, like how they have to word something.
Maybe.
You know, who knows?
Well, either way,
it's probably stuff that we don't know about.
Either way, I'm happy for it. I think it's a good implementation.
The bag thing is a completely different situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty silly. Like, I know, like, it's hard to just, visually think what a 6.5 by 4.5 by 2 inch bag looks like.
It's incredibly small.
It is teeny tiny. It is like a glorified wallet. And if you're a lady that needs anything more than your cell phone and one credit card, you're out of luck.
Yeah, it's relatively small.
Yeah.
I know that you actually made like a box version of it out of like cardboard just to see the actual size.
Literally 2 iPhones would fit in it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you could probably stack a couple like tampons on top of that.
Maybe.
But if you use pads, good luck.
Yeah.
like that's the difficult thing is
Yeah.
that, women tend to carry some things that are more pertinent to their day-to-day operations than men do.
I just think it's too small. Like you said, you and our friend Greg said that you guys have cargo shorts with pockets bigger than the bags that we're allowed to have.
Yeah, so it's a bit interesting. I don't know why they didn't go the direction of like, or clear backpacks. You can have a clear backpack or a clear purse or a clear bag. You know, you're checking these bags anyway. You're going to have security going through this stuff anyway. So I'm not quite sure why they're going so strict on the side of how small the bags need to be in order to get in. Is it purely a form of speeding up the security checking process? Is it because they've had issues with bags bigger than this size, so now they're just saying it has to be this size? You know, there has to be something going on that we don't see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Which is determining this size of bag.
I mean, it's like, do I mind terribly? No, because I like to travel light on, haunt nights anyway. So I usually just have my wallet in one pocket, my phone in the other pocket, and don't bring anything at all because, like, I just don't want the extra baggage. But, other people like to bring the kitchen sink with them. And, like, it's like to each their own, as long as it can be done safely in a clear backpack or whatever, whatever. But I think it's a little silly to have it be this small because at this size, the majority of women are going to have to go out and buy a bag. And I think that's ridiculous.
I mean, I would bring a backpack just to carry my microphone or to put things that I buy in it.
Yeah.
Keep my waters in it. I mean, the box alone, let me grab it. The box alone that I have that carries my Zoom microphone that we use for this podcast and that we use on location often, at Midsummer Scream, at different events at Knott, at Universal.
Double the size.
It's double the size of what would be allowed inside. So how am I supposed to bring my mic in?
You can't.
You can't bring your mic
Yeah.
in. So it's not like it's a big intrusive mic. I can hold it in my hand.
It's the size of an iPhone, but the case it comes in is bigger.
I mean, I basically would have to just put it in my pocket and hope for the best, which is terrifying.
Risk breaking it.
So I feel like there's a happy medium that can go along with this rule, but they're going a little bit more extreme. Like I said, there has to be a reason for this decision. It seems arbitrary to us, but it just feels like there's something that we're just not privy to.
There has to be.
So, but yeah, so when you're going to Not Scary From this year, be prepared. Don't bring a big bag. Measure your bags before you go, because you don't want to show up with a big bag and be told you have to go back to your car to go put the bag away and then come back, because that's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Like one year I came, because I completely forgot, because at the time I think I was 18 or 17 at the time. I had a Swiss Army knife in my pocket, and I didn't want to go back to my car. I was like, just take it. I don't care. Just take it.
R.I.P. Swiss Army knife.
So yeah, so make sure you guys are paying attention to what you're bringing. Don't just go aimlessly. Pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Before we leave Not Scary Farm, do you think they're still announcing more stuff, or do you think they're done? Because
I think they're done.
So there's not going to be a scare zone in Camp Snoopy?
That's the Hollows. Oh, did I not put that?
No, you didn't.
Oh, whoops. The Hollows!
The
Camp
Hollows
Snoopy.
is coming back.
Yeah, I guess I forgot it completely. That's my
Okay.
bad. Yeah, the Hollows is going to be in Camp
Oh,
Snoopy.
I was right this time. You actually did omit something.
Yeah, I did futz up. Yeah, whoops the doodles. Whoops
Okay.
the doodles.
I'm glad I said something then, so people aren't like, what's happening?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next park we're going to be talking about is Six Flags Magic Mountain and Fright Fest. Six Flags Magic Mountain's 29th season of Fright Fest is back with 23 terrifying nights of monsters, ghouls, and creepy characters ready to strike fear in anyone who crosses their paths. The bone-chilling lineup of attractions features a daunting new haunted house, 2 new spine-tingling scare zones, an ominous new show, and a new haunted happy hour. Six Flags Magic Mountain leaves no tombstone unturned to deliver what guests want most. An all-out terrifying experience on select nights September 10th through October 31st. Fright Fest, presented by Snickers, boasts a grand total of 14 electrifying haunted houses and dare-to-enter scare zones with nightmarish zombies lurking around every corner. Six Flags Magic Mountain also adds a sinister element to some of the park's monster coasters by turning off the lights, leaving the riders to face their fears in total darkness. And for the little monsters, Boo Fest offers frightfully fun family activities during the day with a trick-or-treat trail in Bugs Bunny World. We couldn't be more excited to bring the Legacy Halloween event back to the park. Six Flags Magic Mountain Fright Fest is upping the scare factor with an all-new haunted house, 2 new scare zones, and an eerie new show, plus a new haunted happy hour and buffet, said Park President Don McCoy. Spooky season is back in Los Angeles, and Fright Fest is the scariest event in town, added McCoy. Highlights of this year's new Fright Fest lineup include Truth or Dare, a haunted facility that leaves guests questioning their every move, with never-before-done scares and effects, and a warped game of Truth or Dare located near Full Throttle.
And then we have the Devil's Triangle, the deepest, darkest depths of the ocean, haunted by the many souls lost to the Devil's Triangle, who prey on guests as they enter the park.
So it sounds like that's replacing the
Demon's Door.
Demon's Door? Is it Demon's Door? Demon's Gate? Demon's Door? Demon's Back...
Demon's Entryway!
Demon's Back Door. Ew.
Oh!
Carniv...
That's right next to the Devil's Triangle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just right around
the corner from the Devil's Triangle.
Carniv Hell. Carniv
Hell.
Carniv Hell. That's very hard to say.
Yeah. Hell is capitalized.
It's because they didn't want to do Carnival. They did.
I wonder why.
Carniv Hell. So,
yeah.
One of the largest scare zones in the park, featuring the carnivorous band of carnies from a once thriving circus. Located in Bugs Bunny World. Step right up and enter if you dare. That's exciting. Because remember, our biggest complaint was not having anything over there.
That's usually excuse my pun, a dead zone. Okay, next we have The Rising, an ominous show set on the remains of a sunken pirate ship, revealing the battle of good versus evil and the power of the demonic Devil's Claw. Located in the Devil's Triangle.
Ooh, that's fitting. Spirits with spirits. Spirits with spirits. Get it?
Wait, I'm confused about The Rising.
What do you mean The Rising? It's a show.
Oh, it's a show. I just read that.
It literally says an ominous show. It was the first 3 words of the description.
I was like... Not
only does she not listen to me, she doesn't even listen to herself.
I was like... Why is there a scare zone and a scare zone?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Moving on. Spirits of spirits. Nikki, get it?
Yeah.
An evening of monster
They mean alcohol.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. I was waiting for somebody to make that clear to me because I was too stupid to understand it. An evening of monstertainment featuring music, spirits of both natures, and devilish treats located in the West Picnic Pavilion. Plus, don't miss other ghoulish grub only available during Fright Fest and select locations around the park. The fact that they had to say spirits of both natures made me giggle.
Because
we get it.
Yeah.
Spirits with spirits.
Yeah.
We understand. We get it. It's a Halloween event with booze.
Drunk ghosts.
We
got it.
So I say, well, and I said, boo. That's real good. Real good. My eyes roll into my head when I do that voice. I don't know why. Then popular returning haunted houses and mazes that incorporate state-of-the-art makeup, props, and special effects include Willoughby's Resurrected, is where evil spirits roam, the once affluent Willoughby's family mansion.
And then we have Condemned Forever Damned, is full of horrific haunts of a dilapidated home where the walls are alive and the spirits of those who once lived there unleash their fury on anyone who dares enter.
Vault 666 Unlocked is where demonic relics are locked in a dark and sinister antique shop, casting spells and haunting those who try to steal them.
Sewer of Souls takes guests into an underground world of lost souls and terrifying tunnels where evil oozes.
And then we have Aftermath 2 Chaos Rising, in the region's largest outdoor maze, covering more than 40,000 square feet, where the spirits of the dead and the near-dead inhabit a post-apocalyptic city with the larger-than-life props, fire, fog, and other special effects. We didn't even have to have anybody email us.
Okay, no.
We didn't have anybody.
Can I say that this one is one that I actually think is kind of cool because it's literally in like a construction zone.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of stuff.
Literally Like, you couldn't make it more realistic if you tried. There's like actual rubble around you. So
I've never seen somebody so excited about rubble.
I haven't. Well, because, okay, I think my biggest problem is everyone who tries to make a post-apocalyptic maze, it's just like chain link fences and like metal
and
music.
leather.
And leather, yeah. And, like dark eyeliner. So excuse me.
Am I in someone's sexy dungeon, or is this a post-apocalyptic maze?
So excuse me for being excited for some realism.
Sexy Dungeon the Maze.
Give me rubble any day.
Terrifyingly tantalizing house at Fright Fest. Aftermath 2 Chaos Rising. When are we going to get Aftermath 3 Chaos continuing to rise?
Yeah, because the chaos has been rising for 4 years now?
I mean, we have to hit a plateau at some point.
Yeah.
Chaos,
it has
Aftermath
risen.
3, Aftermath
Chaos
3
has risen.
Plateau. Something.
Threshold. Chaos threshold reached.
Aftermath 4. Okay, things are getting back to normal. Something like that. Then additional scare zones around the park, which leave guests nowhere to hide and screaming to get out unscathed, include the Dead Zone. The Dead Zone unleashes a renegade group of cyberpunk zombies that feed on unsuspecting visitors.
And Terror Rising. Dark developments haunt guests for all eternity as their worst nightmares rise up from the depths of hell and prey on the innocent who dare to enter this abandoned cemetery.
City Under Siege is full of clowns who are loose and running rampant through the streets.
Territory Twisted is home to steam-spewing mechanical beasts who relentlessly hunt down their victims.
Nightmares, a Twisted Fantasy, is where childhood favorite bedtime stories take on a perverse twist. And
Exile Hill makes guests freak out when unimaginable sinister souls appear without warning.
boom!
I thought that it was gonna say Exile Hill makes guests walk up a hill.
That's the most terrifying part of it.
I 100% thought that's
is that walk up that hill. It's absolutely horrendous.
It's very laborious.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
And then more spooktacular shows include Unleashed, located in City Under Siege, takes place at 7 p.m. nightly when the monsters of Fright Fest break free. So that is literally their opening ceremony, as it were, when Six Flags officially turns into Fright Fest, because it's like a day to night kind of thing.
Yes.
It isn't a separately ticketed event. So when you show up there, that's when you see every single monster for the event come out at once. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome.
It gets you pumped.
Yeah.
Like big time. Which is interesting because last year they didn't do it in City Under Siege. They did it over by Scream.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm fascinated why they changed it. It must be a backstage kind of situation.
Why they changed it last year? Because it's usually in City Under Siege.
Yeah, it's usually in City Under Siege at the entrance of the DC Universe. But because DC Universe is majorly under construction, there's a lot of things going on over there. I don't know why they would do it in City Under Siege. Unless City Under Siege is now that encompassing that whole entire area in front of Drop of Doom and all of that.
Yeah, maybe they just changed slightly the location of the scare zone. So.
Potentially.
Yeah, we'll see.
So. And
then we also have Voodoo Nights returns, where ghouls rock goes pop with today's hits. Did I miss something?
No,
Ghoul rock.
You didn't miss anything. It was just the way you said it. It's just,
no, I
Ghoul
said
rock.
No,
goes pop.
No, I said I thought it was gonna say where ghouls rock. But
goes pop.
But it's ghoul rock. It just threw me off.
It's like it's a Jack in the Box. Is pretty much how you said it, which made me laugh.
Okay. Well, Ghoul Rock goes pop with today's hits. Guests will want to dust off those thriller moves and join in the fun in the Full Throttle Plaza.
I'm good. They could stay dusty. I'm totally good.
It's fine. I mean, it's some people's cup of tea, and it's cool, and it's a nice just little crowd suck there. I know for Christmas time, our daughter really loved it, so I have a little soft spot in my heart now for that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But it's not our cup of tea. We walk by it, we bob our heads as we walk by, but that's it.
Out of the new stuff from this year, the one that has me asking questions, and how the concept is going to be conveyed and how it's going to be executed is Truth or Dare.
Yeah.
That's the new haunted house, but how do you bring Truth or Dare into a haunted house?
Well, they're saying never before done scares and
Yeah,
effects.
but
we'll see.
Never before done scares at Fright Fest, or never
ever.
before scares ever, because I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll reserve judgment and stuff, but that is the one that I'm most interested in, just because it's such an interesting concept. And the last piece of news that we want to cover, and it is a event that's close to our hearts, and it definitely has us questioning our our choice of entering it every single time we view their shows.
Literally every time we're driving to it.
Up.
Every time we're driving to it, I'm like, what am I doing?
You question your choices. Zombie Joe's Underground Urban Death Tour of Terror 30th anniversary.
That surprised me. I didn't know it was that old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Zombie Joe's Underground Theater Group is thrilled to celebrate its 30th anniversary with the Halloween must-see Urban Death Tour of Terror. The twisted creatures of ZJU, I'm going to just shorten it there, ZJU, are more nightmarish, more explicit, and more hardcore than ever, and you're coming to North Hollywood this September. Created by Zombie Joe and Jana Wimmer, the winner of the Silver Bolo Award for Excellence in Horror Media by The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs, Urban Death Tour of Terror reveals our deepest fears in a dark, twisting, haunted maze, plus badass theater attraction. After facing the fun and freaky maze upon entrance, guests are treated to a captivating live show consisting of a series of shocking and bloody wordless vignettes and mind-blowing physical performances. Guests then face terrifying new creatures hiding within a reversed version of the scream-inducing Tour of Terror maze on their way back into the real world. Prepare for a raunchy, terrifying, and entirely unique experience. Urban Death Tour of Terror will shock and delight even the bravest of souls. Do not come alone. So, we've talked about Zombie Joe's so many times in the show. Yeah. And most recently, we talked about it on the Midsummer Scream episode. And to be very clear, when they say explicit, raunchy,
they mean it.
Terrifying, they mean it. Like, it really goes to places that people are uncomfortable with.
Yeah, nothing is left to the imagination. We saw
literally
this
nothing.
Show on an abridged version we saw at Midsummer Scream, and we saw D and P, D and B.
Dungeons and...
I'm trying not to say the words. We saw hot dogs and dingleberries.
Dingleberries are when you have little poop stuck to your hair.
Oh.
Hanging off your butt.
No, not those.
No, we didn't say dingleberries. We saw hot dogs and tacos.
Hot tacos? Oh, no, I was talking about the things attached to the hot dog. The two things attached to a hot dog.
Twig and berries.
Twig and berries. We saw twig and berries and tacos. And...
to be clear, we're talking about penises and vaginas.
Oh, we can say...
just to be absolutely abundantly clear here, that we did not see dingleberries because Nikki's unfortunate slip of the tongue. If somebody was like, hey, you want to go see some dingleberries? I'd be like... I think I'm good.
I don't think I knew what that term meant.
No, I don't think you did when you used it so clearly.
We also saw boobies.
Yes. So clearly there is nudity in this show, and it definitely, as the description says, deals with a lot of different subject matter, and sometimes the subject matter is going to make you squirm. Like, yeah. It just is inevitably going to, because it's dealing with subject matter that isn't something you're typically faced with. Yeah. And it's things that
are uncomfortable.
But also rather taboo, like things you just don't talk about. Mm-hmm. But also when you're faced with nude people in front of you, when you're sitting in a small room, I think it's any human's natural instinct to be like, do I look away?
Yeah.
And when you're faced with a show where you're supposed to not look away, it's inherently part of the experience of like, I'm looking at what's going on.
It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable, but Zombie Joe's also does a good balancing act of like
funny, spooky, weird,
yeah,
gross.
They'll do something kooky, dark and kooky or regular kooky, and then right after it they'll do something that utterly shocks you, and then the one right after that is something kind of semi lighthearted again. So it really is a roller coaster, and I really appreciate it.
I do appreciate it too. It's just you have to be aware of what you're getting into, and we try very hard because, like, to be frank, based on this description, I would never ever assume the things that I've seen in the show are in the show based on this description.
Yeah, 100%. Except they use the word raunchy, but I feel like that term.
I don't even feel like it's raunchy. Like, I said it earlier that it is, but it's not raunchy. It's above raunchy.
It's above there's raunchy stuff in it, but it goes past that.
Well, the thing is that it's scenes that are sexualized, but not just sexualized to be sexual. It's sexualized in a way that is supposed to either push your buttons or
show an aspect of society that we usually kind of just brush under the rug and don't, acknowledge, things like that. And I feel like just the utter shock value with Zombie Joe's is having it be a show during the Halloween season for a community of people that are so used to the PG-13 version
Scary
of Halloween,
or Halloween Horror Nights.
The normal fare of things that are provided. People aren't ready for this. They're not expecting it when they go. So, I feel like it's hard to even conceptualize, for people, thinking like, oh, well, it can't be that bad. Yeah, it can.
It could really go places. And, the people who complained about the dead dog that was in that maze at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, I want them to go through this.
They would not
because
survive.
They would walk out.
Yes.
The minute something
and then they would write a
buttons.
strongly worded letter.
And the thing is that, like, I actually do really enjoy Urban Death.
Me too.
I really enjoy Urban Death, and it's done tastefully. Everything's done tastefully, but it's so much an art form. It's very much an art form, more so than a lot of things that we see, or at least differently in different ways during Halloween.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different aspects to this experience that are solely dependent upon a single person on that stage trying to depict whatever they're trying to depict. And I think that's pretty, brave for those actors, depending on the situation, whether or not they're nude or doing something that's uncomfortable or weird or gross. There's a lot of really interesting things. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to talk about Zombie Joe's without getting into specifics, which I feel like we kind of did. But be warned, if you want to go to this, you're going to feel awkward at times.
Yep.
But if you want something that's drastically different than your everyday Halloween event, this is it. Period. No questions asked. Like, this might scratch the itch that you're looking for. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I definitely think it's worth checking out, and I would like to formally apologize to everyone for my trying to
the use of the word dingleberries.
Describe what I was trying to describe. I was trying to gently bring it up, and I should have just blatantly said it.
No. Dragging it out was better. We got your fumble. I liked it. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our rundown of some of the biggest Halloween events here in Southern California and in Florida, talking about all the offerings that they have for this year's awesome Halloween season that I cannot wait to jump into. We have small things here and there leading into the Halloween season, and it's all just these appetizers, the amuse-bouche leading into the main meal of Halloween.
I can't believe it's almost here.
It's nuts. It's absolutely bonkers. I walk downstairs every single day and we're full Halloween mode down here.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes me happy every single day. I talk to our kiddo about it all the time. You know, she's in the mood for it. She even has to put on my terrifying mask to scare everybody with.
For like a week after we decorated when we all had COVID because we needed to lift our spirits.
We needed serotonin.
Yeah, and for like a week after we decorated, every day we would all come downstairs and she would be like, Mama, it's Halloween today. And we'd be like, yes, it is.
It's Halloween every day, child.
Every day.
It's Halloween every day if you believe hard enough. But yes, so we are very, very pumped that we're leading into our favorite season of all time, and we're going to have so much coverage. We're going to be covering Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood. We're going to be covering Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, Not Scary Farm, Fright Fest, Zombie Joe's, lots of other fun Halloween events throughout the area of Southern California. So stay tuned for all that fun stuff. But as always, everybody, thank you for tuning into this week's episode. If you guys want to follow us on social media, I'm going to skip the review part. I told you at the beginning. You can leave us a 5-star written review on iTunes. Thank you very much if you want to head over and do that, because you're going to get a shout out here on the show. You're going to get that.
Please
You'll get
do it.
If you do it, why not? Maybe you'll get Nikki to call you a dingleberry by accident. You never know.
If
the
you want me
nonsense
to,
is going to happen on the show.
If you want me to, I will.
Yes. That's the new incentive. You want Nikki to berate, to throw a tirade and call you a dingleberry about your review? Then leave one and find out what nonsense she'll say. Who knows what's going to come out of her mouth? I don't even know.
Sometimes even with the script, I don't know.
Skip a whole sentence describing exactly what the experience is. Who knows?
I'm a professional.
Yes, you are.
No.
No.
No, definitely not.
Far from it. Your Topo Chico is empty, probably.
It is so empty. I think I emptied it right around Dingleberry.
There you go.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. But as I was saying, if you guys aren't following us on social media, make sure you are. You can find us at Theme Park Duo on all social media channels except for TikTok, because we're at The Theme Park Duo. So just add a the at the end of it for TikTok. But you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and then TikTok. So definitely check those things out. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, as I always say, if you want to tell us what you like, what you don't like, things you want to hear, you don't want to hear, events you want us to cover for Halloween, anything like that, you can always email us at
themeparkduo@gmail.com.
Yes. Thank you again, everybody. And always remember, there's always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. See ya.
Thanks for riding with the Theme Park Duo. Make sure to gather all your belongings before the end of the podcast. Bye-bye.